Sandy Munro is going to be here in just 1 second. As you know, he is a monthly contributor, but this month we're going to have not one but two appearances by Sandy because the interview, the conversation that we just taped, kind of went to a second topic, and I figured we should probably separate them and air the second part with the second topic probably in a week or a couple of weeks. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel, this would be a perfect time, so that way you won't miss part 2. In part 2, Sandy is going to talk about the 2 new factories that Tesla is building in Texas and Berlin, some interesting predictions, but first we're going to talk about something that I brought up last week, as I found out and was pretty surprised by that Audi e-tron was outselling by a lot the Tesla Model X in Europe, and I decided to chime in one of the conversation in my Audi e-tron owners Facebook group. If you watched that video, you probably know I was pretty surprised by the reason why the e-tron owners picked the e-tron over the Model X, and that was the build quality. Now, Model Y just came out, and they were supposed to share 75% parts with the Model 3, and yet, as you know, there were still tons and tons of quality and build issues with the Model Y. So I was wondering why. No one better to ask that question than the manufacturing guru Sandy Munro. Very lucky to have him on this channel on a monthly basis. So let's go straight to my conversation with Sandy. Before that, a quick reminder that this video and this channel is sponsored by Avanex, the Tesla Community's accessory store. Use E4Electric, the name of this channel, as the discount code for all of your purchases over $100. All right, let's get to my conversation with Sandy. What causes, build quality issues in cars like Tesla, and maybe we can talk specifically about the most common ones like panel gaps, paint issues that they've been having, and the interior fit and finish.
Okay, so the Tesla is a technology company, so there's lots of things that are out there to talk about. But if your people want to hear about what we use in the industry, it's UX and UI, and those two things are kind of how we classify the buying public. X is for basically experimental stuff and things like that, new technology, and the I is for, in essence, what they see and their touch and feel and whatnot. Anyway, we don't have I don't know what the right words are saying, but we don't seem to have many people that buy Teslas are buying them because they're a beautiful vehicle. They buy them because the technology is there, and they really feel strongly that they want to drive a vehicle that has high technology and is clean. It's a green product. When you go to Europe, things are different. They spend their money more judiciously. Most people don't have big houses and whatnot. So what they do is they kind of they believe that what they want to do is they want to have something that shows their status, and so they want to have a car. And they're very fussy. European customers are very fussy. That's why they don't buy American cars usually. They don't like the fact that even on a Lincoln, the panels and the gaps and whatnot, it's not what they want to see. They want to see perfection when they buy something. And we used to say at Ford that a BMW owner would would push his car in the dark to the garage rather than let anyone know that there was a problem with it. They always feel that, if the technology fails, it's their fault somehow. So you've got a different mindset in Europe. So when you say that somebody's buying something other than a Tesla in Europe, I'm assuming it's an Audi, right? Is that what it'd be?
It's Audi e-tron for now. But also, Renault Zoe outsold so far this year the Model 3.
Yeah. So okay, so Audi is a Class A kind of buyer. That guy wants to buy something that's really expensive, and he wants to impress his friend. The Zoe is a French car, and French people buy it. I usually tell people, don't buy a French car unless you live in France. So that's, But at the end of the day, it's a totally different mindset over there. So it really can't. American companies don't work out well. Now, when the German plant opens, they will not be encumbered by old buildings. They won't be encumbered by the people who are at the Fremont plant. They'll be looking at a brand new paint shop. You know, a lot of things change when you go to a new facility, and especially if you go to a new country. So hopefully they're going to hire people that are crackerjacks when it comes to building a car. And maybe they can take that knowledge back and maybe do something in Fremont. But at the end of the day, the reason that the paint quality is poor on the Tesla is because they got a really bad paint shop. And if it was up to me during the COVID problem, I would have bulldozed that place and I'd have spent the $500 million it takes to put in a really primo paint shop. That's what I would have done. As far as the build quality for gaps and panels and whatnot, that's all twofold. One is the design. Does the design make it easy to put together? And the second one is, what's your tooling look like? If the tooling's not very good, then you got a problem. But the second half of that is, do the people care when they're putting it together? Have they been trained properly? Have the tools, do they have gap tools and things like that so that they can make things happen? Those kinds of deals, that's kind of what makes a good quality build. Yeah.
So would you say when there are build qualities, do you think it's a result of people or robots that were just not perfect putting it together?
No, mostly people are putting the cars together for what you see. Robots aren't very good at that kind of a job. So putting doors on and putting in the instrument panel and the seats and whatnot, that's all done manually. But if the hole pattern that they get on the body isn't proper, then no matter whether a robot put it in or whether a man put it in, if the holes aren't in the right place, it's still going to be screwy. So a guy can, or a person or a worker in the plant can work as hard as they want, but if the hole wasn't stamped properly, you know, from the body shop, or it wasn't welded properly from the body shop, it doesn't matter. When we do a rework in a facility, that's where we start, because unless I have, we call it 5 perfect holes. So that's basically the car. If I don't have 5 perfect holes, I'm not going to have a good day. So I want to make sure that I've got those 5 perfect holes, and then what I can do is I can make sure that I can make that car properly. So I start in the body shop. Actually, I start before the body shop. I look at the stamping lines. How closely are each individual part coming out? Then you put the parts in the fixtures. You weld them up. I take that part over and I put it on my master gauge. Does it fit? Is the operator paying attention? Is there slippage? Is there something wrong in the fixture? And then next is that would be a minor fixture with 2 or 3 parts. Then you go into a major fixture, which has more parts. And as you move up, finally you get to the final body fixture, and you do your welding. If I've made a mistake prior to that main body fixture, and by the way, there's normally there'd be about 140 stations inside of a weld shop. There's a lot of things going on. And every time you have a welded component, it's another opportunity for making a mistake that you won't find out about until you try and put the door on or you try and put the seats in. So you have to be careful right from the beginning. And once the body is done, once that's done, that's the fixture for everything else. So if that isn't perfect, it doesn't matter what people do on the assembly line. It won't fit. It won't work.
So let's talk about improvements. What Tesla and just generally manufacturers do to improve the quality. Now, I know you mentioned new factories, new life, and we'll get to it in a second. But what about improving, here in California, the Fremont factory? Because, Model Y came out and it didn't seem like they rushed it because they actually put it out on the market half a year before they promised. Also, Tesla mentioned that Model Y uses 75% of the parts of the Model 3. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about that, and also that it's the same production line. So how's that after all this time, the Model Y came out with so many build quality issues? Why were they not corrected or addressed as they've learned their lessons over the last 10 years?
Now that's a question only Elon Musk could answer. I don't know. I know one thing for sure. When I was at Ford, I was brought into plants because the quality was poor. And I did just what I talked about a second ago. I went to the paint shop. Is it clean? No. Is it running functionally, operationally? Is it doing what it's supposed to do? No. And then I was not a very pleasant person to deal with if I didn't get what I wanted. If it wasn't perfect, I was not your best friend. And I would move people out, move new people in. Occasionally I'd fire only executives or supervisors or managers or something. I fired them because it was their job to make sure that everything worked. And I don't think that happens at Tesla. I don't think that they care enough to really go in and do what they need to do to make the body a perfect product. If that was the case, then it'd be easy to hang a door. It'd be easy to put in an instrument panel. Your gaps go very, very simply if you do a good job in the body shop. So that's kind of like what I would do. Now let's get to the more interesting part. 75%, nah, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. We tried when we were doing the Model Y. We thought we were going to be this was going to be ace fast. We were going to just push through this thing like no tomorrow because they said 70 or 75% is the same. I don't think so. I know so. It's not true. It's not true at all. And when we got into it, we definitely found out that there's many things that are different. They're subtle changes, and sometimes the untrained eye, you would never notice it. But we noticed it. That's what our business is. And when it comes right down to it, if it was 50-50, I'd be surprised. And I'm telling you what, a lot of things are different. Yeah, there's structural parts that are in the same place, but they're not the same. And so what we wound up doing was we thought we saw something that was going to be, a slam dunk, same as what we saw in the Model 3. We got into it, and the guys are phoning up, because everything was done remotely. Guys are phoning up and say, hey, this ain't the same. I need to see the Model 3 part on this. This doesn't look right. This is not the same. There's a lot of stuff that's different, a lot. So I'm hoping that maybe they have some sort of a consolidation. Maybe they brought the new Model 3 up to the same parts as what's in the Model Y. But I can tell you they're not the same. No. Not 75%.
If you had to make a call, what would be the percentage of the parts that you saw was shared with the Model 3?
Maybe 50%. Maybe.
Wow. Okay, so now you also mentioned something interesting. You say maybe they don't care enough to put the process or put the right people in place to have the perfect quality. Why do you think that is? And do you think this just one of those decisions where maybe build quality is just not what people go for when they buy a Tesla, and Tesla is okay with it?
And I think that's probably true. It must be, because it's either that or it's the only other time we see this kind of thing happen is when you have what we call a family company. So, Grandpa built it and Dad built it up, and then the son's in, and all the relatives are living there, Screwy Uncle Bill and Aunt Maud and all these other people that they show up every day and do something, but they really don't do a good job. And when you get into something like that, then I can say with every bit of confidence that that company ain't got a prayer. It's a family company that doesn't care anymore, or they're just milking the cow. With something like Tesla, where I can guarantee you nobody screws up on those circuit boards, and I can guarantee you that the software works really well, and I can guarantee you when you start looking at the electric motors and stuff like that, those are all built very well. But when it comes to the body, I guess they just don't care as much.
Well, Tesla is a bit of a family organization, of course, but also I'm not sure if the software is that perfect either sometimes. But okay, I mean, it's fair enough what you're saying. All right, stay tuned for part 2, probably airing next week or the week after that. Again, don't forget to click on that subscribe button and the bell notification icon so you don't miss that. But for now, let Sandy come back one more time and let you guys know about one of a few cool products that you can get from Sandy and the gang.
Okay, so this is 140 pages, okay? 140 pages, and what's in it is what we use for sometimes for sales. Mostly it's for promotion, and it's what I would do to basically, you know, make a sale. And what it's got is all kinds of detail and data in it that that the average person, this isn't for an engineer, this is for an average person who wants to know stuff. It's $5. You can either have a Subway sandwich or you can get 140 pages of Tesla stuff so that you can impress your friends. And for engineers, you can impress your professor or something like that.
All right, I put a link to that in the description of this video. Don't miss part 2. Subscribe to this channel. Looking forward to all of your comments. Other than that, see you guys next time, and remember to stay charged.